Welcome to the last in-season episode of Beerfield Fantasy Football ever. I am your host, Chris Hopper, at Beerfield Hop, joined by at Beerfield Theory and at Ryan Miner _FFB. Why are you holding your hands up? What's up?
Because some guy, I want to say it's Jordan Akins that just scored. Like,
I mean, good. I'm good.
it's not a joke, which is good for you. It's not good for me, but it's good for you. But it's also, come on, guys. They should know. It's okay. Well, did he not score? I thought he scored.
Sure. I don't know.
Apparently, he thought he wasn't touched. I saw him run into the end zone. He thought he wasn't touched. Okay, we're good.
Anyway, 20-7 Browns over the Jets right now. David Njoku off like a rocket to start this one, 5 for 128. Bad news for me. I'm facing him in a championship, so not a great start, but still a lot of football to play. As mentioned, this will be our last regular season episode of Beerfield Fantasy Football. We have plans to wrap this whole thing up before the start of the 2024 NFL season. Right now, tracking for episode 500 to be on August 22nd would be where that lines up with as of today. But, yeah. That being said, it is championship week. We are going to talk about that. We're going to reset the playoff picture because we said last week after we were fussing and cussing about it, we'd come back this week and see how our opinions change. So we're going to do that. We'll talk the MVP race and, latest ins, outs, news, previews, get you all previews one last time, get you all set up for championship week. Just a heads up, if you are on YouTube, my internet's been kind of crappy today, so if I start experiencing problems, I will drop that in favor of the audio podcast. So just know that. And I apologize if you hear some coughing. I've got a little bit of a head cold going on. So I was going to make Ryan host, but I didn't do the notes until like 15 minutes before the show. So
I could have hosted, but then you told me to get something better, so I left.
I didn't
right as you hit record.
Dan told you to get something better.
I told you to.
Hey,
it's the final season episode. It's okay.
Yeah, so I got something better. Not gonna lie.
I'm proud of you, regardless of what it is.
I'm proud of you guys.
Fueling Beerfield.
Sorry, I just figured we were transitioning, so I'd get that in there.
I guess we're transitioning.
And I'm proud of us too. Jesus Christ.
What are you drinking, Ryan? What special thing did you grab?
I went upstairs and grabbed a bottle. Oh, wow. That's very bad.
Jack Daniel's Tennessee Apple.
Jack Daniel's Tennessee, yeah. I got it as a Christmas gift, so I thought I'd try it out because I haven't actually had it yet. I've had the Jim Beam version.
I will not spoil it for you.
That's fine. I'm going to spoil it for myself because it's the last episode of week 17 ever for you guys.
It's probably going to taste like apple flavored whiskey.
You need some, I hope some 7-Up or ginger ale to go with that shit.
Ginger ale, really? Sure. Don't drink it straight?
Yeah. Oh, no, you can drink it.
You could.
It's pretty good straight, too, but ginger ale takes that shit next level.
Depends how sweet it is. You probably put some rocks in it. It's just going to help cut the sweetness, but I don't know how sweet
I do have that.
Nice.
I got a glass.
There you go.
Square cube in there, so I figure I tried it both ways. I'm gonna sip it, and then if it's
look at him, he's like a connoisseur. He's gonna try it neat, and then he'll start pouring it over ice and start.
You guys saw me in Kansas City. I was afraid to do anything.
That's true.
We had a good time.
Indeed,
we had a good time.
All right. I am drinking a last of its kind. Something else that went away this year. I have Anchor Brewing Company, formerly of San Francisco, California. This is actually their porter. Kind of a dying style. Didn't go barrel aged or anything tonight because I am under the weather and don't want to drink anything that heavy. We'll save something super special for the very, very last show, but kind of fitting with what went down with Anchor this year, them rolling out. This might be one of the last times that I get to have them as well. So that's what we're going to do.
How's Sean Elijah Moore?
Son of a bitch. I should have played that prop too. I had so far, two of my props already hit.
Is that the name of your beer?
Not even. My prop hits. It's actually the new style of Goose Island Bourbon County. My prop hits. No, I'm drinking Jackie O's in collaboration with Goodwood Brewing out of Duluth, Georgia.
I love Goodwood.
This is Iron Sharpens Iron. This is a bourbon barreled age doppelstick alt beer styled ale. Hopper and I were were talking about this before the show. This is basically the German, the German form of a Schran ale, of a barley wine. So if you drank those styles before, especially in their barrel aged form, then you'll be very familiar with the taste profile of this. This comes in at 13.5%. And it's one of my, 13.8. This is one of my, well, barley wines are my favorite style as a beer. So this fits right up my wheelhouse. And spoiler alert, this is very tasty.
Barley wines and alt beer.
Mm-hmm.
Best of both worlds. All right.
News.
Sorry, I was looking for a drop I'll need later and got totally distracted. TJ Hawkinson, torn MCL and ACL, likely will not see the field for the remainder of our show lifetime. So, something to keep
Big sad.
an eye on throughout the offseason. Big sad, having a great year, huge year in Minnesota. So, be something to watch. But, for redraft, maybe somebody you can get on a bit of a discount that is a difference maker at the position as well coming in. So, it's just something to watch for the field.
How about Dynasty? Too? How do you guys feel about Dynasty on him?
I actually moved him.
Did you?
Up or down?
I'm in a championship. Normally, I would not make this trade.
You traded him.
But I did trade him. I'm in the championship game with no backup tight end to speak of for Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
I don't like to move, but I also like to win championships.
Well, sometimes that's what you gotta do.
I will take the overpay of Hawk. The anticipation I've seen from the Twitter doctors is 7.5 to 8.5 months, about the time frame. What's back between August and September. A lot of them are saying decent probability to start the season on the PUP list. Just depends on how his recovery goes, and we'll get more of that throughout the offseason.
Might be one of those situations where he doesn't start on the PUP because it's a 6-week miss, and that would put you firmly into October. But might miss the first couple weeks, which we've seen before.
Yeah, we'll have obviously far more information as it goes along, but huge loss for Minnesota. So,
and that's not my only concern I have with them right now either. It's also, what's the quarterback position going to be there next season? Is it going to be Kirk Cousins?
Some people are saying
we'll talk. We'll get there.
Fucking literally everywhere.
Okay,
but we'll get to that later. I can bitch about that.
We'll get to that literally next.
Sorry for jumping on. I'm just kind of
it's a valid point with Hawk though, right? Because situations are situational. What's the quarterback situation going to be? Now tight ends, especially with rookie quarterbacks, do tend to be fine. But I'm not concerned about his ability to come back. ACLs and MCLs are pretty routine at receiver positions these days. So I'm not too concerned about him long term. Obviously the concern next season, we do see hamstring injuries, upper leg injuries and stuff tend to impact players as they try to work their way back. So I have some concerns next season, but as far as a long-term dynasty asset, it doesn't really change my outlook on him for that.
He'll be a nice buy low candidate when he comes back and he starts slow. Also tight end position, which is generally a more physical position compared to most positions that we talk about on here, coming back from these tears, and from all accounts, sound like it's a very clean tear.
Yeah.
So here's to hoping that it's not longer than that time frame, but I wouldn't be surprised if he, if he's on a snap count, he's not playing as much in line. You're going to see a little more Josh Oliver next year, to start.
It's not the same amount of cutting as a running back, though. So
no, that's true.
All right. Russell Wilson, you mentioned it. He's been benched for the last 2 games in favor of Jarrett Stidham. This is due. He actually played better this year, but this is due to a $37 million injury trigger should he sustain a serious injury that were to last into March. The Broncos would be on the hook for $37 million guaranteed. The expectation from Russell Wilson is that the Broncos are going to cut him ahead of March. So we're going to cut him at some point in the offseason. which will land him in free agency. And there's any number of things being cast right now. Dan, you mentioned the Vikings. The Vikings, I had some hot takes on a couple things. You had thrown out the Falcons. So, where does Denver go from here? Where does Russ go from here? Are you surprised by this at all? Gus?
I think it's kind of a shitty move. Like,
Well, especially now.
if
saying
it
right
just
now.
feels so like it's such a scumbag move. They've known this. It's been reported that
months.
they've known this for 2 months, and that basically Russ has played through this, knowing that he's very much going to get benched at some point. They're one game out of the playoffs. Like, they're not mathematically eliminated yet, and they're moving on with this move, which is like grounds for fucking tanking at this point. Like, it's just it's a scumbag move. And of course, Sean Payton's a fucking head coach that it's happening with, so not surprised about that. But some of the odds I've seen pop up, very early odds, has the Vikings at the top, most of them. It fits in line with the Cousins injury, the unknown quarterback situation, where they're going to end up drafting depending on these last 2 games go. So it makes a lot of sense. This is not the worst landing spot for us. This would actually be a very good landing spot for us. Let's be honest. We have a good upcoming offensive line, some of the best playmakers in the league, and a head coach that seems to be on the good end when it comes to play calling and scheming, and you don't have to ask Russ to do a whole lot. He's just not better than Cousins, and there's no way that they're not bringing Cousins back. I'd be very surprised if they didn't. So, let him go somewhere else. I don't want to bring the cringiness and some of the distractions that we've seen, but this is also going to probably humble him a lot too, right? Who knows what we'll see how he responds to all this, and I'm sure he's a very professional person. So,
well, and I will say this about Russ, right? Looking at his numbers for this year, he is not off of his career averages by very much at all. 5.8% touchdown rate. His career average is 5.9. 1.8 interception rate. Career average is 1.9. Completion percentage is actually better than career average right now by a couple percentage points. It's really downfield work, which you can almost directly contribute to wide receiver yak and protection rate because he's getting sacked more than he has in 5-6 years. Well, other than last year. I mean, last year and this year are his highest sack rates since 2018. So, there's still gas left in this tank, right? He's not showing decline necessarily if he gets into the right situation or the right spot. So he's going to be sought after. Dan, you talked Minnesota. I'm going to give my hot take on this podcast that I gave in one of our group messages. That is, I think David Tepper's an impatient twat bag, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Carolina and Denver try to swing something after Bryce Young came out slow, and try to swing something along those lines to make that happen. Now, that's a trade scenario, not a sign scenario. They also could just go out and sign him and then figure out what to do with Bryce Young later. Not unlike, Rosen just got drafted over, but you get it.
Murray.
Yeah, Murray got drafted over Rosen, but they could just decide to go out and sign him after he gets cut too, because we know the owner's impatient and is just going to throw money at shit and hope it sticks. So, I mean, that could happen, and recoup some draft capital through Bryce Young ahead of the draft, just depending on how things line up. We've picked Atlanta out as quarterback needy, and I wouldn't put a reunion with Seattle out of the question either.
I wouldn't put Washington out of the question either with the way Sam Howell's been playing last couple games, and they're saying
no,
as he's getting benched right now.
It's gonna be one of those things where he's gonna be linked to every quarterback needy team, right?
Yeah,
I think he's as Hopper mentioned, there's still a bit left in him. If you watch these games, he hasn't. I think the stats may give a little more credit than maybe than what he deserves for this year. The team has been bad, but they've also battled back from going 1-5 to winning 5 in a row, beating good teams along the way. again, they're back into the playoff hunt after that disastrous start. Also, if you really want to have fun, look at the salary cap situation. Now, do note this. The extension they gave him this offseason has not started yet. They are still operating off of the Seattle contract, which he was traded with.
Wait. So,
Denver is
So he still has 5
Denver's
years left, right? So
fucked.
it's like 7 total years.
It's 7 years left.
So they're fucked.
Yeah. No one's trading for this contract. I've stated that there's no contract that's worth trading. This one might prove that to be true.
Is there like 124 million in dead cap?
Yeah.
I know it's over 100 million.
It's an astronomical number. So
It's huge.
like
Hey,
you're looking
that's what-
at
That's what she said.
If you
yeah,
were
it's,
to 85 million in 24 and 49 million in 25 in dead cap. So yeah, 100 and upwards of 100 million in dead cap on that. The out wasn't until after 2025, and that would still leave 31 million in dead cap.
it's
Whoops.
Denver's fucked.
That's what it is.
They're the new
Yeah.
Saints at this point. Now, next year they're already, down 20 million for 2024. They're in the whole 20 million, about 21. Obviously, that'll, look a little bit better when you move out into 2025 as a lot more contracts are falling off. This is going to hamper their team. And
The out is 2026,
I said,
not
yeah.
2025. It's 2026.
2026. Yep.
it's in the
And-
2026
I said
offseason.
after
2025.
2025 is what I said.
After 25 season, so it's
20
26 off season.
I don't know what calendar you're using, but 2026 is after 2025.
That one. I'm using that calendar.
That one. Which is gonna leave them pretty fucked. So
They basically
They're gonna have to-
49
you're gonna see them
million
shedding a lot.
on the cap
Mhm.
with a pre-6-1 release. That's the only thing they got.
Dude,
going.
that's $241.6 million in dead cap space if they release him this year.
Yeah.
That's fucking nuts.
And they want to release them before they have to pay out the injury.
Which would be pre-March, which is
Before all the
after the league year.
guarantees.
So it would be a pre-6-1 release, 85 million in dead cap, 49.6 in cap savings.
Jets just had a pick 6.
Oh. They're
But yeah.
fucked.
Stay tuned all off season to hear Russ watch.
Yeah. Well, and Russ, is he even going to want to be
That's it.
there after this bullshit? Say they don't cut him. Say that it's too much money, and they are going to roll with him and try to build this thing a little bit more around him.
He
Does
can
he even
hold
wanna be
out.
there? Yeah.
You can hold out. You can try to force a trade. The problem in saying that you're going to probably cut him in March is there's no value. Like what team?
That's stupid.
What
Huh.
team is going to trade for this contract? But to then go out and basically say we're done with them by March.
Yeah.
Why would
Like,
you? Yeah, it's so stupid.
whatever team does try to make a move, and you could see you're going to see a lot of probably written word based on trying to restructure the money. How much of the Broncos going to have to front load to pay off this deal? This isn't like a Stafford for Goff thing that you saw with the Rams and the Lions when there was a bad inflated contract with Stafford. It's not nearly that bad, and the Broncos don't have the type of draft capital, extra capital to make that type of deal to try to get rid of Russ in this case. So
No.
it's gonna be
It's so dumb. Just keep him.
it's gonna be rough, man. It's
It's not even that team's even bad either. I can understand if they were like
they're one game outside the
5
playoff.
and
They're
10.
still in playoff race.
Exactly. Yeah, they're in
Stupid.
the race with Vegas right now. It's like you could actually get the top of the AFC West right now,
Right.
and you already talk about releasing him, and then you're benching him
And
right
you're
off the
benching
bat.
him, so you're giving up on the season when you're
Yeah.
not eliminated from the
tanking.
season. Yeah.
This is pretty fucking obvious. Like
Because
league won't do shit.
we don't want him
but
to get hurt and don't want to pay him, and the PA has already been involved, which, I guess it's Denver's right to do, but damn, man.
This is
If I'm a
Who's ahead of Denver Broncos
Broncos fan, this does not feel good.
oh man, yeah. This I've seen some of the responses of shit coming out. It's gonna be they're in for a rough few years. They're not gonna be able to pay anybody. they're gonna start losing some of these more bloated contracts,
Not only that,
and they don't have draft picks.
And are there
Gosh, we should call Denver Broncos off front office right now.
their last 2 games are really winnable too, including against the Raiders in Week 18.
Man, can you imagine they somehow win, and they have to. All right, Russ, we need you back now, buddy. We're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Nope, I'm good, man. Fuck you.
Yeah, go fuck
Have
yourself.
fun
Right.
with Jarrett Stidham.
Right. What a
Ugh.
terrible decision.
And what sucks, this is the fantasy playoffs. You got guys like Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. I don't know how many chips have those guys starting, but
Patting on this, like, is it on
he might
him?
get fired, man. This is like
Might? What the fuck you could tell me? No, he should be fired.
get fired. Yeah,
I'm calling.
he was
I'm calling Domini Leach right now. That's the president. I'm looking at the office right now. They're like, what the fuck you guys
the
doing? You guys
contract
retarded?
extension just looks so bad.
It does.
So
Hello,
bad.
Haley Sullivan. I know you're the chief marketing officer, but this is not a good marketing thing to use right now.
No.
I want to reset my fandom, please.
Yeah.
I'm going to become a Chiefs fan if you don't change this.
All right. Well, that'll be fun to track throughout the offseason. That's the first domino that's going to really go around. So that'll be a fun thing to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
And just wait for it. Josh Jacobs still sidelined. Zamir White, fine plug-in last week. Should be again this week. Just FYI. Getting into some FYI stuff. Quarterback changes everywhere. You got Jaron Hall. He's going to start for the Vikings. Jacoby Brissett is going to start for Washington. You've got Mason Rudolph likely under center for the Steelers this week, and the Giants are going back to Tyrod Taylor. So
Ty got almost beat
time for the playoffs.
Eagles, so why not?
Yep. Time for the playoffs.
Elijah Morris hurts.
No.
He's
Darn.
flailing his
Of course he
arms
is.
around. This
Oh,
is
no,
not good.
That's not good. Raheem Mostert not practicing, but is expected to be active on Sunday. More of a dynasty out here. Rico Dowdle is not practicing for the Cowboys. They've waived Malik Davis. That would mean some opportunity for Deuce Vaughn to see how he looks in that offense. Is they need to shore up the running back position a bit. Keenan Allen not practicing currently. Josh Palmer is absent with a concussion for the Chargers. Definitely monitor that. If neither of them could go, I think Jalen Guyton is probably the next guy up.
Yeah.
It's good. That game's going to
Gerald
be
Everett.
It's not going to be Quentin. I don't think it's going to be Quentin Johnson still.
It's going to be Gerald Everett. It's
Yeah.
going to be do we really want to play this game?
Donald Parham. It's going to be a Donald Parham game.
Dude, I love
It's going to
Donald
be a
Parham.
great game of Jarrett Stidham versus
Easton Stick.
the Easton Stick.
Easton Stick looked decent.
Yeah, backup versus backup. Hopper's
It's
dream type of matchups.
This isn't backup. This is starter versus backup. Jarrett Stidham's the starter.
Yeah.
They
Name
were like,
the
fuck
starter.
you, Russ.
Yeah. Official starter.
Take your money and
It's
go
not
sit on
like
that
this-
bench.
It's not
Dude,
like
I-
he got hurt. He got fucking benched.
Dude, you pay me that kind of money to go sit on a bench. I'll do it too. I'm like, yeah, go
Yeah.
fuck yourselves too. I'm out of here.
That's right. Fuck Sean
Chase
Payton.
Daniel made a
yeah.
hell of a lot of money doing that.
He did. He really did.
Yep.
That's my goal.
Speaking of teams with entirely injured rooms, couple more of those. Isaiah Pacheco is still not practicing for the Chiefs with a concussion. Jerick McKinnon's on IR. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is battling illness, so expect that to be Clyde mostly. Who's even behind?
Michael P. Ryan as
Is LaMichael Pirine the one that's behind
the
them?
backup. I've seen flown around.
Who would have thought?
I've seen flown around Twitter. Is LaMichael P. Ryan is going to be the RB4.
Yeah,
Who
LaMichael.
would have thought that championship week could be Zamir White and CEH carrying us to the championship trophies?
I'm hoping it's going to be. I got one league where I'm riding on Josh Jacobs not going. I'm playing against him and I have Zamir White. It's all like that.
Huh.
Not go, please.
You know, Keontae Ingram's on the Chiefs practice squad.
Yep.
I did not.
He got signed on to there right after he got cut from Arizona.
He would probably be the one activated if
I hope so.
Pacheco
I would
can't
love
go.
to see Keontae. I mean, he like I'm kind of surprised he's
Yeah.
he's already a better.
He was so good
pass
at
guy
USC.
than we have. God, he was good with them and Texas. He got Bijan. It's not his fault. He got
And
fucking
Roshan.
Sir Planton. He was sharing the field with Roshan.
Indeed.
Moore's up, going to the blue tent, so we're good.
Let's see, another room that's banged up. Packers, Dontavian Wicks and Christian Watson both trending towards missing this week's game. Jaden Reed back at practice and is healthy. Malik Heath would be the next guy, and I don't even Romeo Dobbs. Reed, Heath, and Dobbs would be the guy, and they've all kind of rotated.
Touchdown, Jerome Ford.
They've all kind
Let's
of
go.
rotated through and stuff. So, but
I just need Tyler Croft or Tyler Kraft.
Yeah,
you just blow up. I'm fine. I don't need to blow up too much, but that was a hell of a run by Ford too. Not run him, but run after the catch.
Cool. CJ Stroud starting this week after clearing concussion protocol. Jalen Waddle gonna miss week 17. High ankle sprain for him. So
Cedric Wilson.
Yep, because Robbie Chosen's in concussion protocol.
And that's gonna be a very good game.
Should be good.
Like, hopefully not Ravens Niners, bad for fantasy output on the Niners side, but this should be a good matchup.
I'm gonna take a drink of my beer. Cole Kmet not practicing after sustaining his knee injury. Robert Tunyon is a viable backup in his absence. Zay Flowers not practicing with a calf injury. Speaking of the Ravens-Dolphins matchup, which would be good for Bateman and Odell, I guess. But keep an eye on that. Michael Pittman back at practice for the Colts. Trevor Lawrence dealing with a sprained throwing shoulder. Highly questionable this week. Maybe C.J. Beathard under center for the Jags. And the Packers suspended Jair Alexander for conduct detrimental to the team. He made himself a captain.
It was
Nice.
at his home team. I love how they do it in this really important week. And Vikings fans are trolling Jair Alexander like they normally do through it.
Well,
oh well.
And not only did he do it during a very important week, he made himself a captain, then almost screwed up. The refs saved him.
Right? Oh man, Green Bay. You love to see it.
All right. Moving on. Gonna talk some ethics stuff, check in on playoffs and MVPs before we do a beer review. Seen a lot of this question floating around, the ethics of rostering players to block your opponent. So this is the concept that let's say that your opponent somehow had Russell Wilson at quarterback, right? And Wilson gets benched, so you go out and pick up 2 or 3 of the best quarterbacks that are available for free on waivers before your opponent can. They had Hawk, and you went out and stashed some tight ends before they could. A lot of questions floating around of if that's considered strategy, if that's considered cheating. My opinion, that's strategy. You're in the shit.
All strategy.
You gotta be on your toes. And if you're not on your toes and somebody beats you to that, then sorry about it. Like, if your league doesn't have a rule that you have to start somebody that you pick up, which some do, but if your league doesn't have a rule that you have to start who you pick up, it's totally fair game.
Absolutely.
So
do it.
Yeah.
You should be doing it. It's smart. Like, you should be the one going out there. Yeah, and if you really want to be a fucking asshole, you fucking drop him afterwards. You put him back on waivers on Sunday,
right?
So they can't play him. Because again,
I do that.
There's no Monday night game. There's no Monday night game. There is no last game the next day that can save you potentially. There is no Monday night game this year or this week. So if you want to be that person, which is again all strategy.
Yep.
Do it. Should be, especially if the roster, especially if the bench too. This is the last week of the season for your redraft.
Yeah, fuck them.
It's a good thing.
No Monday night game.
If you ain't trying to fuck them over, you ain't winning.
Yep. No Monday night game. You've only got one Saturday game on Saturday night.
Speaking of that, I've done something similar to that in fantasy baseball, and it actually got me kicked out of a league because one guy complained to the commissioner
Oh, that's
Because-
come on.
Come on.
Because I was going in daily and dropping all my pictures and picking up starting pictures for the next day. And so I just dominated every single pitching like category. And he's like, that's not fair, that he was able to go on and add all these players. I'm like, I just went on the night before and did it. I just went to see who the next
Set
day
up,
was. And
set
then
up your
submitted it.
rules to where you're not just counting innings and strikeouts.
Right.
I won, but I got kicked out of the league for that reason. Because I said I'm not changing my ways because it's not in the rules.
That's fair. Not in the rules.
That's
It's not in the
stupid.
rules.
Sounds like a good idea that you're not in that league anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't play fantasy baseball anymore, really, either.
Me either.
Too much, man.
Can't
I
keep up
tried.
with it.
It's
It's a lot.
way, yeah. I
You gotta
didn't
do
really enjoy
rotisserie. That's the
baseball
only way
that
to
much,
do
but
it.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. I'll stick with fantasy football my 17 weeks.
I should stick with my prop bets. I'm doing freaking good tonight right now.
Playoff check.
I've already hit 3 out of the 5.
All right.
Sorry.
You're good.
Jesus, all I'm doing is interrupting you. Oh, da, da, da.
Nobody pays attention to me. It's okay.
I'm trying to.
Dan's over here giving play-by-play.
I heard
on,
playoff talk.
Elijah Moore.
Dan's laughing at me.
I'm updating the game, and Elijah Moore got hurt, and we know how much we all love Elijah Moore.
He's out for with concussion right now.
So playoff talk.
Playoff talk. All right. Let's start with the AFC. So we had Miami winning the East. Has anything happened to change that opinion? I think we were 2-1. I don't remember who was on what side. They're 11.
Ryan was on Buffalo. You and I are in Miami.
So 2 games in hand. Over the Bills. The best you could hope for is tiebreakers. And
Yes.
Guess what?
The Bills are looking hot right now.
So is Baltimore.
So yeah, I'm not gonna lie. So is Baltimore. Yeah, Baltimore is looking good too.
Yeah, and they just happened to play them. So
But I mean, the Bills. Beat
I'm
the
still going
Chargers
Miami.
in a nail biter. The Bills have the Patriots this next week. Miami has
The
let's
Ravens.
see, the Ravens. But the Ravens could actually win that one. This could boil down to that week 18 actually meaning something between the Dolphins and the Bills.
So right now, the Bills have the tiebreaker over the Dolphins.
And if they win, if they win next week, and the Dolphins lose, that puts them at 10-6. Dolphins at 11-5.
Ryan, yours is looking a lot better.
So
I will say that.
the Bills have to win out. The Dolphins have to lose out for that to be a tie.
Right. So if they lose this week, that means week 18 means even more for them,
Right.
especially the Bills.
Right. So I'm still on the Dolphins. I think that
I'm not changing it.
I think it does come down to week 18 though, honestly. Because I do think
do.
the
Yeah.
Bills beat the Patriots, and if the Dolphins they both win, then it's done. So I mean, Dolphins control their own destiny if they can beat the Ravens.
Correct.
And also Kyle Hamilton day to day, but that's a big blow to Baltimore if they don't have Kyle Hamilton against the Dolphins offense.
That would be big. That would be a pretty massive loss. It's hard to pair up against the Dolphins with how much speed they have, but no Waddle.
Yeah.
So you can keep extra eyes on Hill, which is why we like Wilson this week. Ravens are also one of the more explosive defenses in terms of what they can do. So
Yep.
if Hamilton does not go, like I said, if Hamilton does not go, that does change up a bunch, but it's Baltimore's so hot right now. It's hard to bet against them. It's hard to envision the AFC is not coming down to week 18 unless the Bills, implode against the Patriots, which
Could happen.
we've seen. Yep.
So that one's likely coming down to week 18. I think is where we're at with that, unless the Dolphins beat the Ravens, and then it still could, I guess, but no, it couldn't because they got to lose out.
No.
So
Yep.
if the Dolphins beat the Ravens, it's done. So I'm still on the Dolphins because I think that there is a world where they beat the Ravens and or the Bills. So all right, we had Kansas City winning the West. And
I'm gonna flip that.
Are you
Really?
flipping?
I'm flipping. Yeah.
You flipping to Baltimore?
Just based on
You flipping
I'm flipping to the
Raiders?
Raiders, yeah. Just because the Raiders look like they're on their freaking game right now, and the Chiefs just are stumbling. I'm not just saying that just because I just want to stir the feathers up, and I'm a Chiefs fan, like deep down inside, just because of my son. But I just see the way they played last week did not. I mean, Patrick Mahomes just looked gassed.
So this is another have to win out scenario, right?
Yes. Yep.
And the Chiefs have the Chargers in week 17 or in week 18. That changed it all for you.
No.
All right. Chiefs have the Chargers in week 18.
Just because the Bills kept up with them.
The
Chargers kept up with the Bills.
Yeah. They got the Bengals this week, too, with Browning and potentially no Chase again as well. So I think that it's likely Kansas City doesn't fumble both of those games away, and I'm staying on Kansas City.
I like Ryan's tenacity to pick against the grain. I appreciate it. Makes good radio. It's going to Chiefs though.
Yeah, I mean, I can see. I won't be surprised if it's a Chiefs. But I could definitely see the Raiders definitely pushing for it. Like the way they're playing, the way they're running, the way they're running the ball right now with Zamir White is
there's a
crazy.
world where what if Denver does it? What if because Denver has a tiebreaker? Because I'm not sure how the tiebreakers would fall in line there, but
for Denver,
I wouldn't be surprised if Denver drops the last.
Same record,
jump them.
Yeah. I don't think the Chargers are going to win out, but that's just me.
Denver could win too if Kansas City.
Jared, it's Raiders, Denver. That's right.
Drops to, but we'll talk about that scenario when we get to the tiebreakers because I think it's more likely they end up tied with the Raiders. Ravens in the North.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Browns are going to make a really good run for it. They should win tonight.
Yep. They're going to win.
This is Baltimore's, I think, a year for this. So
yeah, and the Ravens have the Steelers in week 18. So that's
still a tough matchup, but
yeah,
I still think it's them. This is theirs.
I think so too. And they may have the tiebreaker as well. I haven't looked. It could be.
Pretty sure they split their in-season matchups.
When it comes down to division,
not mistaken.
Then it comes down to division record, which wouldn't be decided until 18. Also, let me look. Division matchups: the Ravens beat the Browns, and those both early. 1-1. That was the other. Yeah, they split them.
Yeah. That was the last game I think Watson played. That's the one that they beat the Ravens on.
Yeah. All right. We're all still on Baltimore there then. AFC West, we went for the Texans in that.
South,
sorry. AFC South, we went for the Texans. Right now, all three teams lost. So you got that is true, right? All three teams lost?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
They're all 8-7 now.
All three teams at 8-7 here. Trevor Lawrence does not look right. The Colts.
Nope.
Actually, did the Colts win? Is that how they pulled up into a tie? Yeah, the Colts won. That's how they pulled up into a tie. Colts won. The Texans. Oh wait, sorry.
The Colts lost.
They're all on a losing streak.
Yeah, they all lost one. Yeah.
Jaguars are on a 4-game losing streak right now.
Yep, Jaguars in a free fall. Lawrence does not look right at all. Hasn't looked right for weeks. Colts just got walked by the Falcons. Texans get CJ Stroud back. So looking at the last 2 weeks for those teams, Colts have the Raiders and the Texans. The Texans have the Titans this week, and then the Colts. The Jaguars have the Panthers this week, which they should be able to win, and then the Titans.
Does it depend who's at quarterback for the Jaguars? Because they're saying Lawrence might be out, even though he's attempting to practice.
I don't does too much for me. Although Carolina did show a little bit more fight last week against Green Bay. And
yeah, I mean, it was an actual game last week.
I am With Stroud back, I think I'm still on the Texans.
Ditto. I'm still going with the Texans.
Raiders
and loud.
Raiders are hungry and playing well right now. I don't know if the Colts beat the Raiders this week.
The Raiders are on a hot streak, man.
And I can see the Texans winning out.
Got Colts Texans in Indy, week 18.
Game of the
Jacksonville,
week.
Tennessee. At that point, Jacksonville needs, obviously. We'll see how this week, plays out. Man,
Still on the Texans.
Yep, me too.
yeah, Stroud back is what tips the scales.
Yep.
Indy's been, all teams have been like, we may have different conversations after the end of this, after next week or after this week, but yeah, I'll also put my money on on Houston.
All right. So we got Cleveland, who's going to win tonight. They're definitely going to be in a wild card spot. They'll probably be the first wild card, most probably. And then from there, you've got the Bills at 9-6. Yeah, Jacksonville in is the other team. Browns, I don't see any reason to change. They're going to get in as a wild card. The Bills, I think, are going to get in as a wild card. I don't see a reason to flip on that. Looking at that last spot, which seems to be the one that's really up for the grab. If we got Houston winning the AFC South, then that's going to leave that down to a lot of teams. Colts, Steelers, Bengals, Broncos, Raiders, all technically still in play there.
Well, if we're projecting the Texans to win out,
Texans win out.
the Raiders should go up +1 against the Colts, right?
Yes.
They play the Colts
The
this
Raiders
week.
would go up one against the Colts because they play the Colts this week. And I expect the Colts to lose. So the Colts, I expect to lose out. So I'm going to eliminate them.
And then the Raiders get the Broncos next week.
And I expect them to win that. I mean, it could be.
So they put them at 9-8.
That'd be a hell of a story if Vegas can get in on this thing.
It'd be fun.
At 9
I'm
I
so
like it.
rooting. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion if the Colts lose out. Like, you also know that if Buffalo, Miami go down to the last week, Miami will be the other wild card spot if Buffalo takes them. Like, Miami's automatically in the playoffs. We know that.
Oh yeah. No,
Browns will get that.
Miami
will
and
get that
Buffalo are interchangeable.
second spot. Yeah, it's going to be as you mentioned, it's going to be all those 8 and 7 teams.
Yeah.
And the 7 and 8 teams coming up. Like,
Broncos, I'm going to throw out.
If Baltimore locks the number 1 seed, which they could do if they beat Miami, they're not playing their starters in week 18 against Pittsburgh. This is a fucking world in which Pittsburgh makes the playoffs because Baltimore sits their starters after clinching.
They got to beat Seattle this week in Seattle.
Yeah,
I
which
think,
very tough.
which is
Not even forgone that happens, but
right.
we're talking about potential easy matchups. If Baltimore wins, Pittsburgh's week 18 matchup probably becomes easier. And then you have Houston and Indy playing in Indy in week 18, which is not a gimme matchup at all.
I don't think the Bengals can beat the Browns and the Chiefs in back-to-back weeks.
Yeah. That last wild card spot's such a fucking trip. It's like we know the first two, right? We know the 5th seed and the 6th seed right now.
Jags
Easy.
and Raiders are what I'm down to. The Jags, I think, beat the Panthers, and
They have Tennessee in week 18 also on the road. They should have Levis back.
They might lose to the Panthers this week, though, the way that they're in free fall. No, fuck
Right?
it. I'm jumping on the Raiders bandwagon. I want to see.
Yeah.
Pierce pull this
Welcome
off.
aboard.
Flip that over. I'm gonna flip mine to.
Oh man, I got a +1. Dan?
I am, man. I don't know if
There's room
that's
for one more,
even
Dan.
possible.
There's room for one more, Dan. Come on.
I'm not picking it. I'm not picking the Raiders. We gotta have
Dude,
some.
This
We gotta
love
be
seat's turned
different
into
somewhere.
a couch. This love seat's turned into a couch. Come on.
Oh man, if there's a way
See, you thought I was talking about for good radio, but now it's actually like
I think Indy and
entertaining.
Houston are both making the playoffs. I'm putting Indy and Houston in. I think Indy beats Houston, wins the division. I'll flip that, and then but Houston still finds a way to make the playoffs. I don't. I want to see both of them in there over Las
Right?
Vegas. I like Las Vegas.
I love
story,
Vegas.
but I want to see Houston and Indy. I want to see Minshew make it, and it's weird. It's weird to talk positive about Houston, but it's not the team's problem. It's the ownership problem. Now, I'm all for D'Amico Ryans and this run that he put on for Houston. Stroud back.
Yep. He's done awesome.
I think Houston is the best team in that division at this point with the right players healthy, but
yeah,
that's where I'm at. Colts or Houston find a way to make it into the last spot.
I'm gonna have the Colts just missing, so it'll be fun.
Yeah,
we'll see where that's.
This is gonna be a fun conversation next week when we have a lot more information after week 17.
Yeah.
It will be.
When we see who else is mathematically knocked out.
All right,
which will probably happen. We'll get some more down there.
Let's go to the NFC side. Eagles win. Cowboys do not win. They've got a game over Dallas now. We both had Philly winning the East. Has that changed at all with Dallas's loss? Probably not.
No, because
are they even going to beat Detroit this week? Are they even going to beat the Lions this week? Like
the Cowboys, I don't know. The Eagles have the Cardinals this week, and
then the Giants in Week 18.
Yeah, they gotta.
It should be Philly.
Yeah, Philly. And the Cowboys just have Commanders in Week 18.
Yeah, that's. The NFC West,
but doesn't Philly feel like that team is like the number one most frauded team that shouldn't be 11-4? Based on how they've been playing lately. Like, they have 11 wins and 4 losses. They feel like this year's like Minnesota to me in a way.
I love you, Ryan. I think the Lions are this year's Minnesota. It took you guys our fourth string quarterback and 4 turnovers, and you guys barely beat us by a touchdown. I'm just saying
that doesn't matter.
I love the Lions story, and I'm rooting for my little brother. Even though most Lions fans are fucking gloating like they just won the goddamn Super Bowl.
Hey, this is our first time we've ever won the NFC North. All right, ever. Because last time we won it was the NFC Central.
That is true.
That's true.
It doesn't change the fact that I think they're more fraudulent than the Eagles.
Indeed. And Niners have the West locked up too, by the way.
Absolutely.
Niners are still the best. A team in this conference. I may shit on Brock Purdy at time to time, but they're still the best team in this conference.
Who doesn't? I mean, I did all day Monday when he was throwing interceptions.
I was in the group chat, man. I was in our league chat, fucking just talking shit.
Plenty of time to shit on Brock Purdy when we start talking MVP here in a minute.
No.
All right. Oof. That brings us to the NFC West, which is really the only division in the NFC left that I think need the decision. Falcons won. They're at 7-8. Saints are
in South.
I'm saying South, yeah. I'm looking at the West. I'm like, it's the 49ers, and I don't know what else you're talking about.
Well, Niners already clinched everything.
I've done that twice now. Niners have clinched. Right. Lions have clinched. So you're in the South now. Bucs have a game in hand over the Falcons and the Saints. Bucs won. Falcons won. Saints lost, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. I'm looking at it.
Saints lost. So
Panthers lost too, in case you're wondering.
What's that?
He said Panthers lost, in case you were wondering. Damn, it's so close, guys. Right. You're almost there.
Buccaneers have a game in hand. Their remaining schedule is the Saints this week, which is a must-win for New Orleans. And then they have the Panthers in Week 18.
Which should be a win.
It should be. Now they come out of here 8-8. The Saints have Week 8.
Atlanta
in Week 18.
It's the Bucs.
It's going to be the Bucs.
It's the Bucs. They've played very well lately. Baker Bayfield.
Yeah. Talk dirty to me.
It should be the Bucs, but this is going to be ugly, especially if the Saints beat the Buccaneers this week. and they go to 8-8, like this could be
Yeah.
kind of ugly.
I don't think anyone's bigger Mayfield fan than I am, though. In all honesty,
I don't
I'm
know.
like,
But
you don't know.
do you have his Cleveland Browns jersey? Because I have his Cleveland Browns jersey.
I go even further back. I have his Oklahoma Sooners jersey.
I wish I had his. I wish I
Oh,
would have been as
I'll wear it
in
next
love
week.
with them. I would wear mine, but I don't want to support Cleveland, so it'd be
I
a
like
little more
Oklahoma
conflicted
football,
for
so
me. It's the Bucks.
Falcons
if
have
the Bucks win this week, I'll wear it next week.
The Bucks win this week, then they're
They
good.
clinch.
If the Bucks
Yep.
lose this week, the Falcons have the Bears. There's a real chance all three teams are 8-8, headed into a Falcons Saints matchup.
There's
I wouldn't put
nothing
it past the
more.
Bears.
There's nothing more that I want to see is the Bucks win out and then they beat Dallas at home in the wild card round.
I would love that.
That would be
That'd be hilarious.
Baker gets back to the playoffs and gets his revenge on winning his second playoff game and gets a big, fuck you to Cleveland. As Cleveland loses, whoever the fuck they would play in week, I think it would be the winner of the South. So whoever wins the South in AFC. But that would
So we're all
he's
giving that.
still my heart.
We're all giving that to the Bucks.
Yeah.
All right. Wild card. Dallas is in. That's
Yep, that's
not
already
really in
that's
question.
already been confirmed. Yep.
And then it gets messy.
Rams and Seahawks.
Rams and Seahawks would be the next two that are up for grabs. You got.
Ooh,
We had the Rams getting in.
yeah.
I think I still do.
Yeah, the Rams have the Giants this week, and
The
then
Niners
49ers.
losing, but the Niners losing this and not being able to clinch the 1 seed really fucks with this.
Yeah.
Detroit, Vikings have a really tough ending schedule, especially if Detroit has a chance at the 1 seed in Week 18.
Seahawks
They're
have
obviously
the,
not sitting people.
Seahawks have the Steelers at home and then the Cardinals. Might flip that.
So the Seahawks jump the Rams.
Yeah, because they got the Steelers at home and then the Cardinals the next 2 weeks, and the Rams
Have the Niners,
have the
in,
Niners
week 18.
in Week 18.
Yeah, we're actually could actually mean a game.
We had them.
This will be flipped once we see a little bit more,
We had-
from this week. But this is
we had them both getting in, right?
Yeah.
So let's say the Rams go. Seahawks went out, go 9 or go 10-7.
Green Bay gets the Bears.
And they go 9-8. Green Bay gets the Bears, and
They beat Minnesota this week.
Yeah,
It's on the road, and the Vikings have sucked this year at home.
would be 9-8, which would put them in line with the Rams, based on how we see this going. They would be 9-8. Falcons and the Saints both play each other. I'm gonna just say the South team shot. I don't want to see any of them in, so make it easy on myself.
I don't. It's gonna be. We'll get our one
Vikings
from
still
the
have a
east,
shot,
and then we'll
too.
get the one from the. Yeah, it's. I want to go Homer, but they're going back to the rookie QB. This is a very important home game against Green Bay. He doesn't have Jair, but they haven't had Jair for a while. I don't. It's,
Yeah.
I mean, been hurt, and he's been on and off the field.
Green Bay and the Lions, it's not like those aren't winnable, but they're not surefire either.
If Detroit doesn't have a chance at the 1 seed, I think you can see them resting people by halftime. It's one of those games where it's like we can't get the 1 seed. Like it depends on scheduling. Like it depends on when these games are played. If they don't have if they can't get the 1 seed locked, they may rest their guy. So there is, and I start bringing this up because it's gonna become. We're gonna see more and more of this. Like this, like you will see this happen in Week 18. These playoff teams resting starters if they can't. Change their fate.
Oh yeah,
Rams are playing so fucking well though.
Yeah.
Like
if Cooper Kupp can catch that freaking passes I was throwing to him, yeah, they'll do even better.
Rams and Niners Week 18 is just rough. Like they get fucked.
Yeah, I mean, well,
Yeah.
Rams do hold the. Do they? Yeah, they would hold the tiebreaker against the Seahawks. They beat them 17-16. And
Vikings, it won't matter.
and 30 to 13, so they're 2-0, so they got the tiebreaker against the Seahawks.
Who beat? Because Green Bay would have a tiebreaker over one of them, or not. They
The
lost.
Packers.
So Green Bay beat the Rams. So there would be that tiebreaker if they were to beat Minnesota this week. And then obviously they get the Bears in week 18, which is a very favorable matchup for them. Even though I think Bears will play spoiler to that for sure. Like even like it may not matter, but
Gladly.
yeah.
Like we're excited for these games for like fantasy purposes this week, but next week's like the ones we're really gonna be
Just
keeping an eye on.
fun. Yeah, that's why we're talking about it.
Yeah, this is a lot
right
more
now.
fun. Yeah, I love this.
I still got the Rams and Seahawks both getting in.
I wish we had time. That's the thing. I hope the schedule makers recognize the importance of some of these games and putting some of these later, like Rams Niners will obviously be a 3 o'clock game because there's no Sunday night football, right? It's just
Right.
noon and 3 o'clock games. I think it's week 18. Like Vikings
Yeah, it
Lions
should
is
be.
an important game. That should be a 3 o'clock game because that's gonna, there's a lot of story. And we'll obviously know more after this week to see how these more shape out. But I'm going with the Seahawks and the Vikings. Niners, Rams are fine, but they're going to catch the Niners in a game that the Niners are still going to need, and I think they'll lose. I think Niners will play most of their starters, beat them, knock the Rams out of the playoffs. Vikings get in. I don't know if they can beat Detroit, but
I don't see the Vikings getting over the Packers and beating the Lions.
yeah,
I
I can
don't.
see the Vikings beating. Yeah, it's good.
I don't either.
What do you
That's
think?
why I got the Rams in.
Yeah, I can see the Rams going in. I'm with Hop on this one.
I mean, it may not even matter, right? Vikings lose. Then we're having a different story about Green Bay. I mean, Green Bay could easily get in.
Well, and that's
It's a lot softer matchup in week 18. So
yeah. If
it could be,
Green Bay wins, that I think makes it more interesting than
yeah.
a little more interesting. Although a
Yeah.
Vikings Lions game for something too. I mean, there's scenarios where all of that's interesting, so that'll be fun to look out here in a week or so.
I'm still gonna sit with mine. Vikings Seahawks.
All right. MVP check-in. Brock Purdy, obviously, stinker. Probably took himself out of the conversation. Are we in a couple things? Are we in a Dak versus Lamar situation now?
No, because Dak didn't look great either, did he?
Not really, no.
I think Dak's put up 2 stinkers back to back. Right now it's Lamar, and it might even be
Dak was 253, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Wasn't great. It wasn't bad though.
yeah. And Dallas lost, which again it shouldn't matter, but the voters are gonna probably make
No,
that
it
difference. He
shouldn't.
couldn't beat Miami. Not Miami. Yeah, Miami.
I mean,
I still think it should not be.
I don't think it should
a
be a quarterback, but
Lamar doesn't have the stats right now.
We go back 2 years ago, right? And you could have made an argument it should have been Cooper Kupp and Aaron Rodgers won it. So
True.
Right now,
And
Lamar's
this year
the
should be
front runner.
CMC.
Yeah, I would give it if Hill gets over 2K, which long stretch that he will. He has to average, I think, 160 something yards to get there. I like to see him get it.
That'd be great too.
That
I could
Dolphins
see that.
offense, yeah, I like to see Hill get it. McCaffrey, I think, has a better chance of the two because he just touches the ball so much more than Hill does.
Yeah.
If Purdy has a strong 2 games, you're going to see his name come back up. I don't think this Ravens game is a death sentence to his MVP candidacy because there is no runaway at this point. Lamar is a favorite, but that could easily change. Like Hurts, what if the Eagles offense, figures their shit out? Hurts is back in it probably then. Like it's
Well, what about Josh Allen though?
Josh Allen too. Like he's the underdog. I think Josh also should.
I mean,
most
27 touchdowns,
most turnovers. Like
yeah.
he's basically a far more likable Jameis Winston at this point.
I mean,
with
he's
the
got 40 total
underperforming team.
touchdowns.
Yeah,
Freaking
it's
crazy.
if the Bills were in line to win the AFC East, I think, and especially in line to, compete for the 1 seed, I think he is in there. But unfortunately, with how the Bills have been this year and their record, I don't think he's going to get it. Maybe if they win the East, maybe if they come back and beat, Miami and take over the East, maybe. That means, Baltimore has to stumble and
All right, so like we go back to predicament when we first started. AFC East, Bills went out. Does that help Josh Allen if he continues
I don't think
multiple
that would help.
touchdowns?
I think it would help his own thing, his own MVP. Right? But if that means Miami loses to Baltimore, that helps Lamar. Like, it's Lamar's to lose at this point. And he doesn't really have great production to get there. He's got a lot of total yards with the rushing production, but his touchdowns are lower than Allen's
and Dax.
and Dax. But it's not. It shouldn't just be about stats too. Lamar is that fucking team. To me, Lamar probably should win it. Like, he is the heart and
he's a
soul
rushing
of
threat,
that
but he's also a
Baltimore.
passing threat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's also.
I mean,
heart and soul of
the
that-
best way to
that
quantify
Baltimore
that
team.
though is how much total offense have they accounted for, and Lamar does have an edge there. It's close, but he's got an edge there.
Yeah,
It's
gonna if all things play out the way that we think it is, that we've talked about tonight, it's Lamar.
Yeah.
Which I think he rightfully deserves to get it.
If they don't write that wrong and go Tyreek or CMC, but I don't think they'll give it to a skill position guy.
I fucking wish they would. I wish they would just
seriously
get rid of it. Like, it goes like it's been since 2012, since Peterson's comeback here, and which made sense because he single-handedly got the Vikings to the wild card that season. But it's dumb. I mean, thankfully the offensive MVP or the offensive player of the year is, typically a non-quarterback. So at least that's good.
Yeah, 2012 was the last time a non-quarterback got it. Before that, it was 2006, where you actually had back-to-back 2005, 2006 running backs. The last time it wasn't a quarterback or a running back.
Has a wide receiver ever won it? I don't think one has.
Nope. Terrell Davis, Barry Sanders, Smith. Back to 91 now. Another running back. Nope. Lawrence Taylor.
Man, like the 70s, like Steelers.
Lawrence Taylor was the last defensive player to win it. That was
Wow.
in 86. Yeah, I don't think so.
It's just, it's silly, man. It really is.
Yeah, it's all quarterbacks and
I mean,
DTs,
I understand how the
running
game
backs.
is, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
It was Mark Mosley.
Even fullbacks
82.
were winning it.
Wait, a place kicker won it?
What year was that?
82. AP Player of the Year was Mark Mosley.
Oh yeah, place kicker. Yeah,
He won it. A motherfucking kicker won it.
How good was that season?
he must have been a fantasy
It was a
football
strike.
MVP.
So it was a strike shortened season. He hit 23 straight field goals from 81-82. I can't believe NFL's most valuable player, 82. Converted 23 straight field goals from 81-82. That was a record at the time. Responsible for 76 points. Yeah. It was a shortened season, which is probably why he
95% success rate.
I mean, it was a 9-game schedule.
There was also one who won the Sporting News NFL Player of the Year in 1954.
Fucking love it.
He missed 4 field
82.
goals in the postseason.
If you ever get a kicker MVP again,
Uh-huh.
Joe Perry won it like 2 years, 2 out of the last 3 years, and
Well,
54 and 56.
I learned something
Oh no,
tonight.
I'm sorry. 52 and 54.
Yeah.
Jim Brown won it back to back.
Beer review.
Hey, Bears quarterback won the MVP award once.
Hey, look at that.
Sid Luckman, 1943.
Love it.
Somebody go.
I'll go. Again, I am drinking Jackie O's in collaboration with Goodwood Brewery, and this is Iron Sharpens Iron. This is a bourbon barrel aged doppelstick alt style beer ale. Again, you're gonna get strong notes, toffee, and caramel. Your hits of vanilla, which is gonna also kind of give you a milk chocolate type of note too. But very, very strong on the caramel and toffee. Again, if you love barrel aged barley wines, strong ales, this is gonna be right up your fucking alley. This is very, very tasty. Jackie O's, again, it's out of Ohio, I want to say it's Akron, Ohio, if I'm not mistaken. I also forgot to note this was aged in the barrel for 16 months. If you have a chance to pick this up or if you have a chance to get Jackie O's, I highly recommend it.
Right.
Albert, you're right on the Jack Daniels. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So I tried it plain. It was very sweet, very appley. So I was like, oh, I gotta tame this down with something a little bit better. And I went with the ginger ale because that's what I had. I was like, oh, I'll try the ginger ale, see if the ginger brings it back down. Holy crap, was that better?
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. It's almost kind of like a caramel apple at that kind of rate.
I drank a boatload of that and the Jim Apple during the Blackhawks 2015 Stanley Cup playoff run. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was like,
Fuck
oh,
the Blackhawks.
this is delicious.
He's smiling. All right. It is, by the way. I had Anchor Brewing Company's porter. Very, very classic example of a porter. It's light bodied. It's chocolatey. It's got just a little bit of like a dark chocolate roast that doesn't infringe on coffee or anything like that. It's very drinkable. Some caramel undertones. So I don't know if this is more identified as like an English porter than an American one. Those are kind of the vibes that it gave me, but maybe with a little bit more American to it. Not strong hop character or anything on it. Really, really good beer though. So maybe if I can still come into a 6-pack of this, I'll just buy one because that was solid. Now they're gone. All right. Real quick before we wrap this up, week 17, Lions Cowboys are the Saturday night game. I think the best advice for championship week though is don't overthink it. Player upside. Don't get too cute. Don't get too freaked out. You're where you're at for a reason. Lions Cowboys could get decently high scoring. That's a pretty good game to target, obviously. A lot of good matchups this week, though. Eagles against the Cardinals is a very solid matchup. Dolphins Ravens could be right for offense, but it's also a world where the Ravens defense is very, very good, which doesn't bode well for Miami. You've got Jags Panthers could be a little bit of a trap. Carolina's defense has been better of late, although they did just give up 30 to the Packers. 49ers against the Commanders, Rams against the Giants. So you got some opportunities for scoring here. Just pay attention, player cards right, watch your injuries. Anything for you guys on week 17?
Lions 52 or Lions Cowboys 52.5 over under is the highest over under by 3 points. Niners Washington is the second highest. There's a lot of lower scoring games with all the quarterback injuries and some of the better offenses kind of starting to slow down, more particularly Kansas City. And with the injuries to some of the better teams, it's gonna be harder to predict and on really what you expect, what you're gonna get. Dallas and Lions is a good game to target. For whatever reason, if you need to have a flyer, say you lost Amari Cooper, and you need to play somebody out there, a guy like Brandon Cooks, right? A little deeper leagues, uh, you're going to be looking for the ancillary pieces, and this is the one game to target. Uh, it could be sloppy. Both defenses have shown elite pass rush ability, especially if Hutchinson can get on his game early. Um, this should be the highest scoring game, and this should be the game that you target the most in terms of trying to find that upside. If for whatever reason that you need it, at this point, you probably have a lot of your starting positions locked up. But yeah,
I still like the Cincinnati Kansas City game, even though it's an over under 44, Kansas City by 7. I still think it's gonna be a lot closer than that. It could be a back and forth. Even though last week the Bengals definitely got slaughtered
depends
by
what
the
Browning we get.
Steelers. Yeah.
It depends what Browning we get. The Chiefs' defense has been incredible this year. That's the one thing, right? Like he gets to play Pittsburgh and then come back and play Kansas City. Like he beat up on the Vikings, which was great, right? He played 3 tough matchups, tough defensive matchups. But he could be, especially if Chase is to go. If Chase does play, and if Snead is still banged up, you could see some fireworks on that side of the ball, which is a good thing.
Yeah, which is what we like to see in this time of year with the Bengals and
Yeah.
Chiefs, because that's usually what happens.
Yeah, as Hopper mentioned, you don't need to get cute, so you're
No.
gonna probably play the characters that got you here.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
The
yeah, don't be
characters,
cute
the
with it.
players, you're gonna put the players that got you there. So outside
All
of
right.
Cooper.
And that is our show. 34-17 current score of the Browns Jets game. Joe Flacco giving you a really, really good game. Njoku is kind of calmed the hell down, thankfully, but is still sitting at a very, very solid week. And 2 touchdown performance in the receiving game from Jerome Ford. Has you pretty happy. And Elijah Moore, if somehow you started him in a championship.
Moore is ruled out with the concussion.
Yep.
So unfortunately, he won't get any more points the rest of the week. But
17-point performance in PPR is still pretty good.
yeah, it's
You had to start him for
one if
someone.
you
You're not disappointed by that.
yeah, like if you spot started him over Cooper, you're not mad. You're not happy with how his started, but you're happy that he's not going to definitely kill you on Thursday night.
Yep.
And Brees Hall's even leading the team for the Jets.
As he should.
82 rushing yards and 36 receiving yards, even over Garrett Wilson, who has 35 receiving yards.
He's working himself into top 3 to 5 drafted player next year in redraft.
Yeah, especially if Aaron Rodgers comes back at 100%.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of Brees Hall.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back next week with a playoff check-in and fantasy football season awards for the last time. So, yep. See ya.
Yep.
Bye.